Hello, hello, friends. Parachuting in here from a place called Torreon, which is about 3 hours drive. Like, no, more than that, actually. I'm with Dr. Alex Ling. We just got back. As you can see, I've been burnt a crisp here. I've changed about 12 shades. You got away with it.
I got away with it, so my DNA is coping with it just. But yeah, it was very hot.
It was a very, very powerful experience, I have to tell you. A very, very powerful experience indeed. We got back late yesterday. We spent, I must have been all said, about 10 hours in the desert. We left at 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and it was a long way there. Thank God we got picked up at a given point in the desert by friends of mine connected to one of the leading shaman in the country who had gone ahead. They picked us up in off-road vehicle. Otherwise, there's no way in hell we would have got there. And we had to drive off-road, which is a little spooky. We got to where we were intended to go. Well, let me back up there, and Alex can interject here. You'd done a reconnaissance already the day before.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of military type logistics, right, going on.
There was too much military. They sealed off the area. There was a lot of police presence, and there was like a private party only allowed into the zone of the silence where we originally wanted to be.
So we're talking about this here, the actual mountain. So what happened was we consulted our shaman guy, and he led us to a far better positioning in the epicenter, which was actually in the basin, I think, of what used to be a sea.
Absolutely.
We saw so the mountain was there, right? You were happy that the mountain was next to us.
Just right in line with the mountain, so that was good. But we were on this incredible place, and strangely, I've been researching it just 2 weeks before we actually went there. So, and it's an old seabed, ancient East seabed, 200 million years old, with all the information still in the sand.
In the silica, in the crystalline silica.
Amazing.
So we were thrilled. By the time the off-road vehicles got us to where we were being taken, we couldn't have been more thrilled. We were literally in the middle, in the epicenter of what was a bowl of a kind of dune, powder fine silica sand. And we set up camp there on top of a dune and began our ceremonial piece. And we'll speak to this after the intro, because I last night edited an intro, which I'm going to run now. It's about 9 minutes long, something like that. And not backed by popular demand, but I did edit into the film a song of mine, which I've not released for 20 years. And has not been heard because I own all the copyrights, and I pulled everything down when I gave up and walked away from the music business. But there was a song that I'd written, and it kind of flashed in my mind last night whilst I was searching for some soundtrack to the little video I put together. And I thought, well, fuck it. I'm going to just play Freedom Mama, an excerpt from that song, because it kind of, for me, set the tone of what yesterday represented. Guys, if you can see these thumbs up balloons coming on our screen, we've been hacked. I have no control over this. This is StreamYard. And for whatever reason, occasionally red balloons go up and thumbs and weird icons. And I'm not sure, Christy, I'm speaking to my producer. I'm not sure, Christy, if there's anything we can do. She's going, I don't know. Anyway, so if you see funny icons there, please don't imagine that I'm triggering them at the most inopportune moments, because I'm not. It's like talking about some sad, morbid event, and then these thumbs up come. In any event, friends, I will play the short video that we made in order just to try and invite you into a little of what we witnessed from our perspective, and then we'll have a bit of a conversation about some of the more esoteric dynamics. Okay, stand by.
Too many times I've touched on Eden, where rivers run with virgin tears. And every time I almost succeeded was every time it disappeared. I've been down this road before, and I have lived 10 times or more. Walked on the soil of foreign shores till I can't walk on anymore. I want get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. Get up, mama, get up, and can you stop the bleeding? Get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. No, just give me love, and give me love, and give me love. You talk about my muddy vision, you ask about my mama's age. Now I can almost taste your inhibition. Spit it out, child. For given time, you're bound to grace the stage. Now I've been drifting to the door till I can't see your face at all. Now settle down, you get no prize for just giving your heart, child. Now welcome to the rain where the best man crawls. Get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. You're all I ever want. Get up, mama, get up, and can you stop the bleeding? You're all I ever want. Get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. No, just give me love, and give me love, and give me love, and give me love.
Right, so we're rolling video. Let the record reflect, friends, that this is Dr. Alex Ling's idea in the first instance, okay?
I don't take any blame.
We're with this remarkable Mexican here, my beloved friend Ricardo.
Hey.
And we're headed now into the dunes in that direction. And the dunes, there's a camp there, correct?
There's a camp, yes.
And folks there who interact with the extraterrestrial dimensions and UFOs and what have you. So we're on our way to the dunes. We're driving off-road right now. By the grace of God, we'll get there.
Of course you're gonna.
And divine intervention.
One's yesterday.
Falling
stars.
This area?
In this area.
Yeah, because this area has a magnetic field.
Yeah.
And so the...
Come on.
You did it!
Oh, well done, little man.
He's gonna sleep well.
It's okay, it's okay.
Haz conciencia. Y si no recuerdas, también pide perdón.
Even if you remember what you did, beg for pardon, beg for the forgiveness. Because right now is the time, because we're going to left all we knew as this world with all these crazy things, all the polarity is gone. Polarity is gone. We have to understand that we're here to get the perfect balance of polarities. Toma agua.
Because when you
Okay, are you all ready?
Oh yes, go for it.
Okay, let's hum.
Okay, so hope you enjoyed that short film. I'm joined by, well, let me start with my priorities here. Dante, okay, seated with Anahita. Hi, Anahita.
Hello.
Sky, and you all know Dr. Alex Ling. So we were all present and correct, and all, I think, enjoyed the mystery of what took place yesterday. A fair bit of ceremony was had. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
How important was that piece? Was the ceremonial piece?
I think it was really important because whole energy kind of lifted up as soon as we started to have the ceremonies. I mean, it was charged up immensely in that whole area.
I mean, you could see that shaman Eduardo, the remarkable man, and Yvonne, who's something of an oracle, his partner, who was doing divinations to set the tone. Yvonne and Anahita here set the tone of the ceremonial work by communicating with the guardians, various guardians, galactic intelligences, and guardians of the earth and the sky, and that was very important stuff. You saw the guy in the eagle dress, Eduardo, moving around with water. He the classic stuff. I mean, this is old white magic, so to speak, when you create a seminal protection using sea salt and water, which is really to create a container more than anything else, right? That's the purpose of it, is to create a containment, a psychic firewall, so to speak. I mean, we were in the epicenter. Whatever the fuck NASA is doing, whatever the fuck the Super Hadron Collider and those troglodytes in the basement in Switzerland and France are doing in trying to smash atoms and open up portals, I don't know or care what they're doing. I know that we represent the living sons and daughters of God in that sense, and we were creating the correct containment for proper ceremony to take place. So first off, thank you for the ceremonial work that you did, Anahita, yesterday. Part of what you did was receive a transmission. Look, let me go back a little bit. We woke up to having cloud cover of inordinate proportion. In this part of the world, there is never cloud cover. Every single local told us this never, ever happens. There is no cloud cover here, not at this time of year, and only for 2 days a year, and that's in the middle of winter. So something was going down. Yesterday, we saw all those kind of patinations in the cloud that indicate classic millimeter wave interference and geoengineering. So done deal there. We knew that, and we knew it was going to happen. So the day before, at least, they started fomenting that. By yesterday morning, and we were up at 5 a.m. and on the road, but it was absolutely covered, cloud cover. By the time we got into the zone of silence, absolute cloud cover. All right, formidable. And part of what the transmission that you brought in ceremony was some very deft information on how we could punch a hole through the clouds. And so that's precisely what happened. And we were fortunate in that we were able to thin that. I mean, it was a bit of a process, a lot of kind of, in a sense, Kundalini activation, right? And drawing the paramagnetic forces of the earth, the root chakra, creating and correct me if I'm wrong here, Anahita, and correcting a kind of elastic band that you pull back and then go, all right, green, boom, and release that. And 12 souls altogether. I think there were, how many of us were?
11
Plus Dante.
Oh, Dante.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So 12, well, Dante's maybe a half. No, he's a full soul. 12 souls all in all, and released that kind of psychic elastic band into the cosmos. And that seemed to do the clearing. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, we saw it immediately.
We saw it immediately. And then later, when we were driving away, hours later, and looking back at the zone of silence over the dunes in the desert, we could still see our hole punched in the sky. So that seemed to be something that worked. So let me ask you first your thoughts on the ceremonial piece, and then I want your thoughts on the ceremonial piece. Then I want you to just briefly explain from your own perspective, being an intuitive, why this stuff works and why it's important in these kind of events. So your reflections.
Oh, I'm totally in agreement. So any ceremony which we have done yesterday was just incredible, and it connected us really with the cosmos, with the earth, and there was a real connection between all of us as well. And then soon as the totality happened, which was that crucial 4 minutes 28 seconds when we all started to hum together as well. I mean, that was just phenomenal. The energy which was accumulated through that, in combination with you guys, what you did before, it was just magic. Absolutely beautiful.
Are you, Christy, are you also hitting buttons? Because it's frustrating me a bit. Your thoughts on the ceremonial piece yesterday, because you were also anchoring a hell of a lot. And I think, am I right in saying that you didn't open your eyes for the duration?
I did not open my eyes for the whole duration. That's not true. I had one peek, but not at the sun, but just a little peek.
Right.
For one moment. Yeah.
Did you see that incredible, that twilight that just swept through the basin?
That's what I saw.
You got that piece.
Yeah. So what I felt was, we opened the container in the way that it's been opened in thousands and thousands of ceremonies around the world. We called in the 4 directions. We called in Mother Earth and Father Sky. We called in the celestial beings, the elemental beings, and we opened this container, this ceremonial sacred container. And having done that, Anahita and myself, hundreds of times, we get pretty sensitive at feeling the energies of that vortex of that container. And when that shadow cloud, or the shadow began to cover the sky, we felt this incredible, almost vacuum-like toroidal field that was pulling, sucking from the earth.
Yeah.
And then as the light then came back in, it was the most magnificent switch, and seeing that geomagnetic golden light coming down through that portal and opening it up. It was literally felt like a new day was birthed at that point.
For me, I'll speak about my experience momentarily, but from your point of view, I know that in the so-called channeling that you were bringing in, which proved to be very effective technique for us, you also have a very strong emphasis on Christ, on Christ energy, and on that communion. Yeah.
Well, I work with many beings, many benevolent beings, in many dimensions and across the the multiverse, but Christ is definitely one of the guides that I work most closely with in in opening portals and doing transmissions and healing transmissions and creating sacred containers and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's I feel like I'm just an apprenticing student at this point.
I think we all are.
I don't even always completely understand what's happening, oftentimes until after it's already happened. And even then, it's limited.
Yeah.
I think.
But isn't that the point? I mean, we're all of us just a bunch of cumbersome atomites lurching out of a galactic sleep, right? And trying to define our majesty and trying to remember our majesty. So that's all that's going on here. And it's a beautiful process and a very edifying process. Okay, so you showed me a clip earlier today. I'm going to throw this curveball at Alex whilst we've got a brilliant scientific mind here. You showed me a clip on your phone. Would you pull that clip up?
Yeah.
I'm going to actually aim it at the camera here and let the camera. Is this yours? Oh, is it there? It's not here?
No.
Oh, yeah, there it is. You want to see this clip, okay? I've known about this. I've known about this for some time, and it doesn't worry me or bother me because I have a rationale for it in my own head. But I'm very keen to get Dr. Alex's feedback on this piece.
Is right here. Then why is the moon over there?
It says if the eclipse.
How does that happen? But look, the moon is right there in front of the sun. But the moon is over here. Why is the moon right there if it's supposed to be in front of the sun? Here, these moons right here.
So did you get that? So this is pretty interesting. And this was filmed yesterday. So that's the eclipse happening. But they're seeing the moon there. Is there an explanation for that?
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
A lot of people have got back to me.
Yeah.
A lot of people have told me the same thing, and people were saying this to me even leading up to the eclipse, that this is not an eclipse, man. Come on, Stone, you know better. Well, actually, I don't. I do and I don't. I've been informed. I'm aware of the fact that there may be some other very extraordinary and supernatural, in that sense, third-party intervention. Maybe it's Anunnaki technology. Maybe it's who knows? And maybe it's benevolent. Maybe it's benign. Maybe it's malevolent. I don't know, but I do know that the event can be interpreted and can be driven to manifest positive outcome or negative outcome, depending on where we, the human technology, the temple of the Christed ones, where we situate ourselves in any given situation. So my takeaway is maybe it is a complete falsity. Maybe the earth is flat. Maybe it's a fucking donut. I don't know or actually care, because it's all part of the extraneous, external, false light matrix, which has a mind of its own, is built up with collective consensual plasmoids. You imagine, and we dream badly for 1,000 years. we're going to manifest a pretty awful, archonic kind of reality. We dream wisely and beautifully, and we manifest, conversely, a beautiful heavenly reality. So that's kind of written into the program of what we are, right?
Yes, I think so too. I mean, we shouldn't forget that whatever happened yesterday is extraordinarily important for humanity. And when I started to promote the hum, for example, that symbolized a lot of hope for people and unity as well. And we had over 3 million people joining yesterday in the hum experience.
So that whilst we were doing it, at the exact moment,
exactly the same.
that's
moment.
a morphogenetic field right there, 3 million souls.
Absolutely.
And what we were doing with ceremony, right, just maintaining that conduit at the epicenter of that umbilical, that umbilical superhighway that was being opened or closed at that moment in so-called time, connected to that morphogenetic field of 3 million.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful stuff.
And many of the people experienced very similar things which they viewed in the sky, because it was cloudy, there was no sun inside, and soon as I started to hum and connect to the eclipse where we were, so they witnessed this incredible movement of clouds just being opened up, like a portal just opening up right there, and the unity of the love. And that is the point which we try to achieve, and I think 100% we did. I think we're reuniting humanity to that point of pure unconditional love, and that can manifest anything. Yes. So,
Right. And that also speaks to the power of now, the fact that we can choose any moment to catalyze or activate that morphogenetic upshift, which doesn't just impact and affect us individually or societally, or even as a genus. It actually affects the entire cosmos. That is my reckoning and my knowing that Tara, Earth, this plane of existence, is the epicenter of all temporal expression. I am now in my middle age, absolutely in my knowing on this. I don't need to even engage any further discussion or debate on the matter. And these folks who maintain this somewhat entropic notion that that we're not alone in the galaxy. Of course, we're not fucking alone in the galaxy. That's not the point. The point is a lot of pundits will, in a sense, diminish the importance of the human and say, well, we're just another squawking and grunting mammal on the surface of a planet somewhere on the fringes of the Milky Way. No, I think not. I think we have invested in us the entirety, the whole of the mind and the heart of God, so to speak, the Alpha and the Omega. Now, we may be eclipsed to that majesty by 97 or 98 or 99.999%, but the latency, the potency is there. Would you agree with that?
Totally, absolutely. We all created, and that's the point as well.
So one other thing I wanted to discuss briefly, when we turn, like, why the zone of silence again? A lot of people have been asking the question. Well, as I said, we take no responsibility. He's the one responsible. Okay, Alex Ling is the one responsible, and we know he's got a remarkable background story, and so he's been close for his whole life, and even I would say in your ancestral line, you've been close, coming from the highest ranking Freemasonic traditions until your father broke with the ranks of Freemasons, pulled out as the Grand Master of the biggest lodge in Germany, and you being of bizarrely of Germanian and Chinese descent, hence the name Ling.
Yes. That's
So,
to complicate things.
I mean, to complicate it, but in what an extraordinary way. I mean, high-ranking generational Freemasons who are both Chinese. So in what I'm saying is carrying the wisdom flame, because it's my understanding, and I don't want to get into Freemasonry here, but I do at some point want to do this with you. But it's my understanding that the genesis of the Freemasons was a good genesis point, connected to carrying the flame through the Dark Ages and, in a sense, having to keep that flame alive in dangerous times. Is that more or less true?
It is. I think it just changed when it was manipulated by very greedy individuals who were very power hungry and started to control humans in the most intense way.
Enter the Sabbateans, right?
Exactly.
and the Bavarian Illuminati and so on, and then this full infiltration
Yes.
of the technology of Freemasonry and the apparatus of Freemasonry
Yes.
co-opted. So by the time your father becomes Grandmaster, he's very steeped in this arcane gnosis, this knowledge, this wisdom. But then he begins to understand that the Freemasonic lodges are trading highly dangerous alien technology, disruptive technology, stargates, stuff like this, that they're trading and auctioning amongst themselves these technologies, which have been sequestered and held back again through the Smithsonian Institute, the Vatican Library, the British Geological Society, whatever, all of those kind of old blue school tie institutions that were really holding humanity back, the mainstream, and then sequestering that information and those technologies and those artifacts. They were being traded through the Freemasonic temple, so to speak. Your father, at one point, recognized that what they were about to do was going to be of dire consequence to humanity.
Yes, that there was a turning point where he decided that he's not part of it any longer, and he needed to protect this in favor of humanity, really. So, and he, by doing so, put himself in a very awkward situation, to say the least, because he was being hunted down, and eventually, unfortunately, he got killed by the lodge. But the point was that he was not willing to hand over one of the most important artifacts, which would have been used against humanity. And that was the point. So he showed integrity, and he showed a different side, which I haven't seen beforehand as much. But that was really the turning point also for me. So I studied quite a lot of his material to also not to follow his steps, by far not, but to know the enemy. And that is something, which I did quite intensely, to know exactly how they operate and what kind of energies and what kind of methods they're using to control us.
So that is why, and we give that, thank you, that was perfect, because that explains why Dr. Alex was so dead set on this idea of undoing some primal black magic, so to speak, and using this event horizon of the solar eclipse yesterday, which he understood a long time ago. In fact, 14,000 odd years ago, I understand this eclipse was kind of prophesied as being the shift point, right? Yes. And then about you were the one who educated us that, and again, good studied Freemasons are going to know this information, but 7,000, this event was the biggest cosmic event in 7,000 years, and you were dead set on being there at the epicenter in order to do what you needed to do with water, with the hum, and bring restitution.
Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, we felt it, didn't we feel that from the minute we heard about it? And that compelled us to also get on airplanes and head to the desert. All right.
Well, when you're in that state as well, you're focusing your single pointed focus on that so you're not able to be in monkey mind, you're not able to be in the ego, you're in presence.
That's right. It's such a simple tool as well. It's so simple and yet so effective. Absolutely incredible.
So
ancient
confession here. So I'm the one who was proselytizing his gospel to the world for the last few weeks about go within, connect with the immanent flame, look inwards, and what happens? I couldn't help myself. I was just so amazed. I mean, I knew that they were anchoring the ceremony, and I don't do ceremony, but I observe it and I witness it, and I have huge reverence for right ceremony, for right action in ceremony. I have huge reverence for it. I just don't participate myself, and I'll go into that and write a thesis on it one day. But the point is that yesterday I broke ranks and I grabbed a camera, which I'd sworn I wasn't going to do. And I was just absolutely filled with elation, this huge joy. And I'll be honest here. I'm a skittish guy. I was nervous. I was apprehensive, and I had psychic knots leading up to yesterday. And I really was a bit worried about how I might respond, being as skittish as I am. And yet I always amaze myself, because the minute it entered and this kind of rolling twilight came through the basin of the dunes, I was just filled with unbearable elation. Unbearable elation. And I just had to, I didn't look one time at the sky, didn't have any need to look or adulate anything out there. I'm not interested. And I figured that I'm already very well connected to the immanent flame within my own self and my own journey. So I felt okay about being a witness of the changing light and the color. And I'm so grateful that you guys were keeping your focus really in that space. I'm deeply, deeply grateful that you were doing it. But I cheated. And I'm thrilled that I cheated. And Dante, another thing with Dante. So you saw our shaman, Eduardo, laying down the salt and the water, the firewall, so to speak, the protection. Dante, who'd been gallivanting all over the sand dunes, remained absolutely in that circle for an hour, whatever it was. He didn't budge from that. But he was growling. Like when Anahita was invoking intelligences who were communicating, he's but it wasn't in a threatening growl. It was one of those growls that the dog itself doesn't understand what's going on, and so they start they just do that. It wasn't like he was seeing something. He felt a presence, and he was every time you brought a new intelligence through, he would start doing it. And the same thing with Yvonne, our other oracle, who was there, also doing beautiful, localized, more Mexican, traditional shamanic invocations. And Dante, same thing, started to growl every time there was a new presence communicating. So all in all, for me, it was just beautiful having this connection opened up with the galactic family and feeling that presence and participating as a real stupid Adamite, driven by sensation and driven by, it was just a beautiful experience for me. All in all, I'm just deeply grateful for it. Your closing reflections.
It was beautiful. The wave, it felt like when the totality happened, that there was a wave of water coming towards us and cleansing the whole area, and everything negative, which was all around us, kind of waiting to interrupt, it was just sucked up into what.
Right. Describe what you saw.
Okay. Well, I want to speak to that first piece. One of the miracles of ceremony is that it's amazing, and you can attest to this, that every ceremony there's a coming together of just the right people, just the right ingredients, and so you're playing the perfect role. Everyone was playing their perfect role, even Dante. And it was clear to us that there was meant to be at least one masculine and two feminine holding that container. That's all that was needed at that point. So thank you for doing your parts. And it was such a pleasure and an honor to be able to hold that container and to feel and experience what we were feeling in the kind of like the epicenter, the core of this vortex. The question again. So
because you described to me earlier about what you witnessed about the centrifugal spin, the kind of galactic centrifugal spin moving and shifting axis and going into a centripetal spin, a counter rotation, a counterclockwise one, which is very powerful and very, very meaningful, given that the false light reality matrix has been contained and orchestrated by this notion of 1260 time and a hand of a clock moving that way. So in a sense, it's scrambled the hemispheres of the way in which we perceive reality. And if you talk about counterpoint geometry and counterpoint rotation, wow, but describe what you saw.
Yeah, well, most of it I felt. So what I was seeing in the internal was just white light. It was beautiful. But what I was feeling was this, essentially, like I said, a sense of the energy being vortexed out, like corkscrewed out of the earth. And then as that cloud, the sort of the shade started to come out and the light came in, it instantly switched and became, it was rotational clockwise inward. And one of the things that when we came, we knew we had a mission. One of the missions that for us, we knew we had to be here was we were given a message, and the message was that which has been taken must be given back. And so we were guided to bring a piece of gold, and we actually buried that gold in the earth underneath the center. That was the center altar. And so when we do ceremony, we can, by just putting your hand over top of the ceremonial altar, you can feel that force. You can feel this vibrational spiral that's going on. I've never felt that much power, that much force. Like it was literally like a tornado energy that was coming. And so I was just blown away. And I actually, in the video, you might hear it where I'm like, wow, because I felt it as it was coming in. It almost knocked me back.
Right.
It was extraordinary. And I must admit, even so, I shouldn't say that I was watching the eclipse, the totality, without glasses or anything. And I just felt mesmerized by the changes in the sky, because there was these clouds and it kind of all drifted away. They all disintegrated into something completely different. And then you could just see the whole thing. And it was just mind-blowing, the energy which got accumulated through that. Very, very intense. Yeah.
What did you see
during the eclipse? Well, I really felt that, so the way Mother Gaia explained it to us is that this eclipse was, so she is being birthed, she is being.
You said the waters are broken. That's what you said.
And so the way she described it is that the cosmos, the universe, is birthing her into the new earth. And so the water has broken and she's now moving down the birth canal. And so I really felt that sort of like opening of like, now we're like moving into like another phase of our journey towards the new earth. And this was a monumental moment. And I felt the energy move upwards and then like pull downwards. And then as it pulled down, I felt like that was when the water broke. And it was just like this, it's just like.
Well, you were sitting in the bed of an old sea that was there 200 million years ago.
So the eagle, we all heard the eagle.
Yeah.
In the moment of it, there was no eagle.
That was bizarre, actually. It was very bizarre. So eagle starts screaming at the exact moment. But I think we got that on film. Pretty sure we got that on film. Guys, I'm talking to the audience now momentarily. We're going to wind this down shortly, but I wanted to invite any questions you have of Anahita or Sky or Dr. Alex. Now's your time. I'm half blind, so I can't really see. Christy, if there's anything here that is worthy of throwing up as a question, you might want to help me out. Any questions you got, guys? Otherwise, we'll wind this down. I'll play again the same film that we opened with, for those of you who missed it. And with the resurrection of my music career, that's a joke, incidentally. That will never happen, ever. Okay. Dr. Alex, what gel do you use?
No way. Actually, I try not to put my hair up. Naturally, it's just sticking up in the air. So I try actually to calm it down, but it doesn't work.
Someone was asking Anahita a question. Oh, Anahita, if I spell this right, it's a T, not a D. But what do you feel is next, our next step? Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, what was coming through and, what's been coming through for quite some time is that we're moving into this place where we're touching into the limitlessness of our beings, where we're not only going to see that in our external world, where, we may even come into contact with, extraterrestrial beings or, but also in our internal world where, we're going to really understand that we are truly limitless. And the only thing that limits us is that belief or that fear that we have been programmed into believing that there's limitations to what we can do as divine benevolent beings. And, we'll be tapping into beautiful gifts and abilities and all kinds of stuff. So one of the visions that I was seeing as the eclipse was happening is my eyes were closed the entire time. I think I maybe opened it for a split second once, but all I could see was everyone as angels. It was like the new earth was here. Like we all are that angelic template, the angelic human. Every single last one of us, all of us, you know, we carry that, and to really embrace that and embody that in everything that we do, and not believe any of this old paradigm sort of like story about, you know, us not being enough or having these, you know, limitations. And anything is possible. We can create anything we want, manifest anything we want, and it's especially powerful when we all can meet in that place together. And that was very apparent yesterday.
Well, I want a donut with sprinkles. Manifest it. It's a comment. Please do, yeah.
So I was just mentioning the gold. Our teachers, the Kogi Mamos, they come from Sierra Nevada in the mountains in Colombia. They call themselves the Big Brothers, and the Mamos themselves actually spent 8 years in darkness as their initiation, to be able to see into the inner realms. They said that we are entering into a very important time, that we've been so out of balance. We've been so, what they call out of aini, out of reciprocity, because we've been taking this sort of the service to self mentality has got to such a point where it's so out of balance. So by bringing that gold, making that, so it wasn't a gift back to Mother Earth, it was literally a payment. They call it a payment. And so one of the things that we can all do is just anytime you can put a payment, blow a prayer into a piece of cotton or even a nut or something like that. But if you have a crystal on the mantle that you haven't used in years, take that crystal and go and pray and say thank you to Mother Earth for all she gives us, all that she does for us, all the infinite feeding billions of people that haven't been aware of this piece, like to give thanks, to remember how abundant and generous she is to us. And so, yeah, just an offering to her to help make payments. If we all do that together, we can actually transform this in a big way really quickly.
Very good.
Yeah, that's
True
exactly what
sacred
I'm,
reciprocity.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's also what I'm trying to encourage people to still hum. So it's not just the one hum which we did yesterday. So we want to encourage people to resonate with this planet, to just give the energy to the planet, to move forward, and not just humanity, but also to feel Mother Earth, to give something back. And I think that's what we're going to do on an ongoing basis. So we're going to find ways of getting people together again and again to just continue the good
Very
work.
good. So did NASA try to keep you away? I don't imagine that NASA gave a fig about any of us. I think NASA's too belligerent and involved in doing its own sabotage and witchery. So I'm not one of those people who believes that because I had a bad Zoom call that I'm being interfered with by the CIA. I don't think that for a second. But I do think that we were interfering with NASA. And I think that's the point. And we were trying to keep NASA away. So that was the issue. Boom, boom, boom. No, there was no telephone communication to answer that question. There was no phone signal whatsoever. That was, you're going to get compasses spinning and what have you. The way I see it, when we pulled up at the zone of silence, as we started entering the zone of silence, a very ramshackle, kind of dusty roads, and then you see kind of a few broken down shacks here and there, and then a big sign with an alien face on it. And then 5 miles later, a big sign with a UFO on it. So the locals are all de rigueur. They've been seeing this stuff and interacting for generations. There are no surprises. My takeaway, which is why I also think it was brilliant that you draw attention to this, was that the zone of silence is kind of the Area 51 of Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on top of that, it's also kind of a geological onshore Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, the electromagnetic field, which is there, is just enormous. And as soon as you enter the area, even someone who's not very sensitive can feel it immediately.
Talk about Tara contra Gaia. What is that? I'm sorry, but I'm a bit I don't really understand the question. My understanding is that Tara and Gaia are both names of yeah. Question, so what message came to your mind during the eclipse? That's for me. One, elation, the opposite of all the trepidation and reservations that I was having about, is this likely to be the onset of a orchestrated shit show? Are we going to see some real nasty activities happening, and they could be geoseismic, they could be anything triggered by alien technologies and, you know, working in cahoots with the military, deep state. I mean, all bets are off. That much I know. So I don't have any assumptions about reality any longer. And I did have an apprehension. For me, to answer the question, this complete elation, sense of elation, which was wonderful. It was a benediction that I received. It was absolute, unfiltered, undiluted elation that lasted 4 minutes, 28.1 seconds. And the only word that was like a stigmata in my inner eye was the word resurrection. So I saw that. I saw sick people becoming well. I saw dead people coming back to life in that sense. I'm talking about the hungry ghost syndrome. Okay. I'm talking about the bedevilment in this world of billions of years of trauma patterns and ghost patterns, and the detritus that remains earthbound from billions and billions of incarnations that makes up the stuff, the loosh, that itself creates the dampening of the noosphere and the activation of the egregore, which becomes, through the annals of time, so-called history, emerges into the angry, jealous gods of old, the Yahwehs. We manifested them. We manifested them over billions of years of unresolved divinity and unresolved light, and abdicated plasma light. So what I saw was resurrection of the hungry ghost, which I can't stress how important that is, because I know I'm one who sees the dead and has seen the dead, and I'm one who has seen the angelics in the temporal realm. I've seen full-fledged angelics, and I've seen draconian reptilian as well. So I've seen a lot of stuff that is dialed beyond the very narrow, limited bandwidth of the visible spectrum of light. But I can tell you that the hungry ghost syndrome is a serious piece when you've got all these earthbound souls that are constantly moving through us, moving through our field. And that stuff anchors sorrow. It anchors and animates sorrow, sadness, the trial of separation. So for me to simply be in a state of abject elation, and then to simply have a stigmata of resurrection written in the mind's eye, and everywhere I looked for 4.5 minutes, and I was trying to use my imagination. I'm going to let you in on a secret here, okay? About the perversity. Can I troll on for a couple of minutes? Mm-hmm. I'll let you in a little secret here. When I met many years ago, very powerful masters, I met Daddy Janki before she hit 100 years of age, the head of the Brahma Kumaris. And I was meeting with the high monks and high lamas of the different traditions, Lama Dubum Tulku, and some fantastic spiritual leaders that I've met. And I was always afraid going into the meetings with those on my diplomatic campaign that I was doing to meet all these religious and spiritual leaders. When I'm in the presence of a sanctified, a holy one, my mind would start to, you talk about the monkey mind? My mind would start to try and violate the sanctity of those meetings. I saw it happen again and again. Mind you, I'm talking about 20 years ago. And I was a bit more pornographized by life at that time and a bit closer to kind of more guttural expression. But I tell you, I had a hard time navigating some of those meetings and not thinking pretty vile thoughts. And I was just watching my mind, thinking, oh, so those perversions you keep aside. And then when you're in a sanctified space, you try, this devil on the shoulder tries to violate the sanctity. So I've got a long history in my own backstory of watching my own mind try to violate the sanctified moments of my own life. And I've managed to qualify that over many, many years. But I'll tell you this much. I was shitting myself, to use a guttural expression, leading up to yesterday's portal, because I was afraid that monkey mind would come back after 20 years, would jump in at the moment when we're supposed to be putting into the field our imagining of what's going to manifest. And I was terrified that some collection of detritus, psychic detritus over 20 years was going to hijack that 4.5 minutes for me and contaminate and pollute this sacrament that we were involved in. That was the thing that worried me the most, because I take tremendous responsibility for me. And none of that occurred. My mind wasn't even able to go into conjuring devilishness or evil or darkness. I was just saturated with elation. I was surrounded. I had a huge angelic on my left shoulder. And I don't know if it was Michael or Gabriel, but I think it was. I mean, I sensed this tremendous, powerful presence. And the creature was 16 feet tall and so beautiful, just with one hand on my shoulder throughout. And it was just like, I've got you, buddy. That's why I sound like such a weirdo talking like this. I don't talk like this in front of my own network, but fuck it. This is the new me. This is the new, get used to it. So point is, I had this resurrection, and I'm seeing in my mind's eye the eradication of the hungry ghost, the annihilation of the trauma patterns, the civilizational trauma patterns. I saw a renunciation of all that doesn't serve the highest expression, the highest good. And that's my takeaway, to be long-winded about the question. Speak.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that. So, you know, the work we do, where we, you know, and he and I both, we help to liberate these other entities that are attached to people. And what I've noticed is around certain very awakened beings, there are a lot of these other entities that can come in and attach, and they attach when we are out of sync with our truth, and
right,
in monkey mind.
Right.
They actually attach back here,
right,
and they will send thoughts. So were those your thoughts? That would be my question. And
no, they weren't, but it amounts to the same thing, because I am the commander of this vehicle.
Because
and if I am slightly out of coherence and that mischief elemental slips in and pollutes or contaminates a sacred moment, it amounts to the same thing. It's my action. I take full responsibility. Right. But yeah, point taken. Absolutely.
And in the containers that we create, you know, like that ceremonial container was held in such a way that we called in all of these celestial forces to support with that process. So there really wasn't anything that was able to get into that.
Oh no, I mean, I can vouch for that, because through the history of my father, I learned actually the difference here between the energies as well. So I was well aware of these kind of entities. But when we hugged in the end, when this kind of incredible,
that was the start of my bromance with you. He's the only one I hugged yesterday.
There was not anything else than pure love. It was absolutely beautiful, and I think we all shared that yesterday. It was just so amazing.
So next question, just running through these. Any news about inner earth portals opening? They're military occupied. No, don't really want to speak to that. Because it's all conjecture, and we don't do conjecture right now. But thank you for the question. How about those NASA rockets? Any feedback? No?
I don't think.
What about them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about them?
Insignificant.
Yeah.
So they spent another $20 billion of taxpayers' money on studying electrons. Yeah, useful stuff, but when they could be feeding people and getting millions of kids off fentanyl. Nice. Kathleen's asking, do you think that Gaia has inner light from inside Earth that is growing as well? I think you can answer that question.
1000%, yes.
Yeah, without any doubt.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, that was really what we were activating and cultivating yesterday, is in that moment. I mean, Sacha can speak to this more eloquently, I'm sure, but in that moment during the eclipse, those 4.5 minutes, we were, you know, coming out of our mind and just connecting with that epicenter, the seed of our soul at the center of our heart. And from that place, emanating love into the crystalline core, the inner sun of Mother Gaia, and supporting and seeding our intentions for what we want to see for her and all of humanity, and just allowing that to emanate in all directions for as far as, you know, infinitely. And so we could feel that light growing and expanding, and you know, this is the water breaking, right? And we felt that expansion in the moment it happened. And just we're
so the short answer is yes. Yes, I think it's safe to say. Okay, last question here. Is Mother Earth all done her birthing process now? Well, we can all answer to that in our way. I would say that the birthing process has just begun, and I'm very excited about that journey. But I think that what yesterday signaled was an absolute, in totality, we're talking about a terminal failure of a very, very, very ancient cycle known as time. And I have a sense that the harmonic convergence and then the 2012-2020 phenomenon pole vaulting us to this eclipse event, and where we now go in the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, by my reckoning, the next 3 years are the perturbations of the birthing contractions and processes that are unavoidable. We're talking about seismic events, we're talking about stellar events, we're talking about psycho-civilizational releasing. Again, the renunciation, the releasing of trauma patterns at the collective level has to happen. Don't forget, it's human beings that drive reality and drive climate resultantly. So whatever happens, if 12 tsunamis kick off next Tuesday, that is because that is the degree and extent to which the unresolved aspects of the collective are requiring water purification. For instance, we have to begin to really grow up and see that all these events do not victimize us. We're not victims of them. We are the authors and architects of them. But the degree to which we grow up quickly and really expand and move into that expansion that you just spoke about so beautifully, the degree to which we can mitigate the harm, the injury, the loss, the sorrow from whatever events are upcoming. So, yea, though I walk through the valley of death, right?
Absolutely. And unity is the key to everything in this matter. If we all stick together, and if we all as humanity don't forget that we all one, then we can face everything. Everything can be solved. It's all good.
Yes. Beautiful. Final words. Anyone want to end up with anything? I think we pretty much capped it all beautifully. And that.
Share one last.
Okay, crack on. Do it.
So we actually have the ashes from the 8th fire that Sacha, we were there at the 8th fire together. That was the culmination of 500 years of instructions that they received to get through the spiritual winter. They knew it was coming. They had prophecy for it. And now that all the prophecies have happened, now that the eagle, condor, quetzal, and hummingbird are coming together, they came to a consensus clearly through their connection with spirit that by 2030, that will be the end of all war on planet Earth, and that we are entering in the new time that he called the daytime that will not be followed by night.
Right.
And that is happening.
Beautiful. And that's going to definitely, with my own audience, that's going to gel, because I've been saying more or less the same thing. The 2030 demarcates that point, and the 2032, without any question of doubt, my understanding, it is the Galactic Federation full placement within the Galactic Federation, so to speak. And that seems to be pretty fixed. And then also my reckoning is that the 2046 date line won't even apply, because we'll be beyond the 1260 time, and we'll be on by 2030. I believe we will fully be beyond the grip of Cronus, which is the crown and the state and the government, the parent corporation, all the hegemony and the racketeering over and parasiting over and dominion over human plasma, human life force, the Christed light that we emanate, and which has been feasted upon, put it that way, for millennia, by our permission at the highest level. Let me be clear about that. We have been the ones who have gifted, through our self-sacrifice and self-immolation, in that sense, every time we took a backward flip into this godless abyss, and an incarnation, it was an act of sacrifice. It was an act of, okay, here I go again. And another incarnation of torturous, oftentimes, experience, where the best that we had to offer was summoned from the depths of our soul expression and brought into muster, into the manifest realm, in order to help catalyze absolution, redemption, empathy, compassion, love, amongst all creatures of the earth and all of the spheres. And that is what a good life does. It simply acts as that catalyzing vector for Christ consciousness and for our innate, immanent divinity. But we've all done that, you and I. There's thousands of people watching, and we've all done that for limitless incarnations. And what Sky just described, that terminal velocity point, is where, for the first time in the history of time, we are likely to come up for air fully and go, we've arrived at the golden shore, and the resurrection is upon us, and the mechanics of ascension have fully activated, and we now move towards a vertical ascension event, which is and will be a biological, manifest, material event, not an esoteric one, as I've said to my audience. That, to me, is the beauty in what we were doing yesterday, was beginning the pioneering work, which has so much to do with what you're doing with water, incidentally. I have to say, I salute you for this. I love you so much for what you do. And seeing these amazing water-based products that your company, your group are putting out, is just such a salve to the soul. To know that, you know, this is the biggest fuck you to Johnson & Johnson, GlaxoSmithKline, and all of those revolting, satanic constructs that have come in with synthetic molecules to utterly, well, you guys are all best healers in the world here. You know more than anyone what I'm talking about. But the utter destructivity of the synthetic molecules that has been brought. And here you come, making shampoo with water-based shampoo. I saw that on your site. I'm like, get out of here. You serious?
I know, it's just incredible. I think, you know, all the research I did in 14 years to create this enormously powerful water, which is structured water, and we infuse it with frankincense and myrrh and monoatomic gold. It's like a plasma. So, and it helps so many people, thousands and thousands of people.
So we're going to be doing a special. He doesn't even know about it yet, but Christy, my producer, is nodding from the green room there. We're going to do a special with you on all of this stuff, on the products, okay?
Yeah.
For Lazarus.
Okay.
And guys, before we close, some of you have heard about Regenesis, that the Regenesis clinic, healing center, spa, retreat center thing. These are my partners, Anahita and Sky. We're in the process, and have been for some weeks now, of constructing that. A brief background. They've been, I've got to be careful what I say here, because they are healers and they are very, very well respected. And they've established and developed a protocol that is walking people out of the worst terminal stages of you know what. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Galloping turbo, you know what. Fuck you, FDA, you know what. So the point is this: I'd heard about their work, intercepted their plans, managed to snaffle them across to Bacala Laguna for a quick visit. And they sensed what I'm doing there. And you also sensed the plasma, the water, the Bacala Laguna. And they said, okay, this is good. We'll reroute our entire trajectory and plan. They were planning to leave and establish their clinic elsewhere other than Canada, for good reasons, because you can't have the kind of success they're having in healing without becoming firmly in the crosshairs of the establishment. So we'll leave it at that. But the point is, we're in the process now of establishing this new Regenesis brand. Don't like to talk in those terms, but it is a brand and a franchise that we're creating, where we're bundling together the best in class military grade healing technologies, the stuff that I've been working on in Romania and with the Russians, with frequencies, the New Earth Pharmacy, microbiological breakthroughs, and their incredible protocol in 60 seconds. We're dealing with what with your protocol? It is the ultimate kind of aggregate. And, you know, we're talking to a medical doctor here as well. So there's more conversations to be had, because this man understands a great deal about healing also. But what is your protocol? Essentially describe it in a minute.
I'll speak to it real briefly and then let you have a word too. But yeah, we simplified it that you know, we're like Mother Earth, and that our blood and the energy that flows through our bodies is the river. So we call it the river of light, and it's really about purifying the river of light, purifying the filters. You know, we're just a series of filters. The skin.
So be clear. This is mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
We're working on.
You don't just fix the body. You know, you've got to heal the trauma patterns. You've got to heal the emotional. Right.
Yes.
We were working on the emotional, spiritual side for a long time. We realized that the physical is actually, again, without that river of light being clear, we don't get that primordial essence, that life force prana into the prefrontal cortex. And when we do, as that kundalini, that connection between the prefrontal, our newest, most evolved part of the brain, the God brain, connects with that kundalini energy, it wakes up.
Yeah.
And this is the future of humanity.
Yes, it is. It's the future of medical science and health science. And I'll say this, we're really looking forward to seeing where the crossover and integration is with all that you do and are developing with this Regenesis, because we know where we're taking what we're doing. And we're going to be actually announcing late summer this year, the first turnkey Regenesis facility will be announced. And that's in process right now. Safe to say?
Yes.
All good. All right. I haven't given too much away. And I know I tend to give too much away too quickly, but that's all I have to say on the matter. And we look forward to this conversation with you and integrating with the incredible stuff that you're doing.
I think there's a lot of synchronicity here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So thank you all. Thank you all for looking in. Thousands of you, 2,000 alone just on this one rinkety-dink channel. But I know we've got likely tens of thousands of people watching, and very, very grateful at that. Hope you enjoyed our somewhat bohemian conversation. And just want to thank my beloved Sky, Clint, and Anahita, and Dr. Alex Ling, my new bestie. Love this man so much. And your incredible team.
I know.
Name your team here.
Okay, yes, we have Ian Winston, we have Joel, and we have the fantastic Ricardo. So yes, very good friends of mine, and yeah, what a team.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Okay,
And we'd like to thank you, Sacha.
Oh, you want to thank me? Let me
Okay.
clear the screen. Right.
We really want to thank you because we were clearly guided to be here. We were clearly guided to you,
Right.
to this mission, and to your team, and to this community, and to what is emerging here, and what you stand for, health sovereignty.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and so just thank you for inviting us to allow us to be a part of this, and we're just so excited.
Thanking me for making them captive. That's cute, isn't it? That's called Stockholm syndrome. But I'm glad it's working.
Bless your heart.
Thank you very much. So that's me and Dr. Alex. That's Clint, Sky, and Anahita. And there's our beloved Eduardo. And I wish I had a photograph of my Ricardo. Where is he? I don't have one here. Ricardo, forgive me, brother. I don't have. Maybe you're there somewhere.
Yeah, he's in front.
He's in the front. There he is. And Yvonne, thank you, darling, you beautiful oracle, for your incredible work.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And there's Alex, myself. Oh, that's Eduardo again. Beautiful. All right, friends, that's us. Over and out. I'm going to play you out with this. Could you cue that video back up to the front end before I embarrass myself, Christy? And then I'll just play you out with the short video that we brought you in with. All right, friends, much love.
Too many times I've touched on Eden, where rivers run with virgin tears, and every time I almost succeeded, 'cause every time it disappeared. I've been down this road before, and I have lived 10 times or more, walked on the soil of foreign shores, till I can't walk on anymore. All I want, get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. Get up, mama, get up, and can you stop the bleeding? Get up, mama, get up, but don't give me freedom. No, just give me love, and give me love, and give me love. We talk about my muddy vision, Ask about my mama's age. Now I can almost taste your inhibition. Spit it out, child. For given time, you're bound to grace the stage. Now I've been drifting to the door till I can't see your face at all. Now settle down, you get no prize for just giving your heart, child. Now welcome to the rain where the best man crawls. Get up, mama, get up, but don't give him the freedom. You're all I ever want. Get up, mama, get up, and can you stop the bleeding? You're all I ever want. Get up, mama, get up, but don't give him the freedom. No, just give me love. And give me love. And give me love. And give me love.
Right, so we're rolling video. Let the record reflect, friends, that this is Dr. Alex Ling's idea in the first instance, okay?
I don't take any blame.
We're with this remarkable Mexican here, my beloved friend Ricardo.
Hey.
And we're headed now into the dunes in that direction. And the dunes, there's a camp there, correct?
There's a camp, yes.
And folks there who interact with the extraterrestrial dimensions and UFOs and what have you. So we're on our way to the dunes. We're driving off-road right now. By the grace of God, we'll get there.
Of course you're gonna.
And divine intervention.
One's yesterday.
Falling
stars.
This area?
In this area.
Yeah, because this area has a magnetic field.
Yeah.
And so the...
Come on.
You did it!
Oh, well done, little man.
He's gonna sleep well.
It's okay, it's okay.
Haz conciencia. Y si no recuerdas, también pide perdón.
Even if you remember what you did, beg for pardon, beg for the forgiveness. Because right now is the time, because we're going to left all we knew as this wall with all these crazy things, all the polarity is gone. Polarity is gone. We have to understand that we're here to get the perfect balance of polarities. Toma agua.
Because when you
Okay, are you all ready?
Oh yes, go for it.
Okay, let's hang.